Block 30 is the Teardrops block, and this is a series of treble crochets, 4 rows of treble crochets with knit stitch rows in between for spacing. The pattern itself to form the teardrop takes 13 rows, and I am doing half blocks every other column, and my half blocks are 13 rows, so this works out well for me. To do this, your first row is a base row if you're doing individual blocks that you're going to sew together after you're done crocheting all the blocks. If you're doing it the way I am, where you're attaching each block as you're making each block, the first row will be a simple stitch row. Then your next 2 rows will be knit stitch. Your third row, or excuse me, your fourth row, this is 1, 2, 3, yeah, your fourth row will be the V treble. Then you do 2 rows of knit. Your 7th row will be the vertical trebles, then 2 rows of knit, then an inverted V trebles, 2 rows of knit, and then the straight. And then that's the 13th row, and you're done. Let me show you how this is done. I had to mess with this a couple of times before I got my spacing right. I'm doing 36, so I think the pattern calls for 3 of these in series. Then you space out with some knit stitches in between, and then you do another series of it. Well, I'm only doing 1 series, but I'm doing an extra teardrop on the end because I've got 36 stitches in each row rather than the 27 they call for. So I'm just going to show you 1 teardrop, and to save time, I've already done a base row and 2 rows of knit stitch, and this is just like 10 stitches long. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is 3 knit stitches. I'm just going to go ahead and follow the pattern for that. Okay, now, I had to get off for a minute to stretch out my yarn. We're going to yarn over twice. We're going to skip this next column, and to make this treble, we're going to go down to the very first row, which is basically your base row or your simple stitch row. You're going to go down and you're going to insert through both loops, yarn over. Oops, did I lose my loop too? Nope. Just go through it again. Bring up a loop. Then you're going to yarn over and draw through 2 3 times. And your first treble is made. And you'll notice that that third yarn over, draw through 2, you're actually, one of the loops you're drawing through is the 3rd knit stitch. That's the way it's supposed to be. That threw me off at first because they don't point that out in the pattern. Okay, then you go to your next one and you're going to knit 4 times. I almost didn't make this long enough. Okay, you're going to yarn over twice again, and now you need to go back through that same post again and bring up a loop. This is how you're making your first V. Then you're going to yarn over and draw through 2 3 times. And then I only have 1 left. I should have made this a little bit longer. So I'm going to bring up. The second half is just yarn over, draw through 2 all the way across. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera while I do 2 rows of knit stitch. Otherwise my video gets too large and YouTube doesn't like that. So I'll be right back. Okay, for this next series of treble stitches, these are going to be 2 vertical trebles, and we're going to do our knit 3, then treble into the post down below, into the treble down below, and then in between we're going to do 4 knit stitches. And then treble down below, so I don't think I'm bringing up both. Finish off with your knit stitches. Okay, I'm going to finish the second half of this row and then 2 more rows of knit stitch, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're ready for the inverted V portion of the pattern. We're going to knit 5, and then we're going to do 2 trebles, one going backwards to here and then one going forwards to there, and it's the same procedure. Yarn over twice, go through the post, that treble, bring up a loop, and then draw through 2 3 times. Okay, yarn over twice and go through the other one. And then draw through 2 3 times. Oops. Well, then I have to come behind and get this knit stitch the rest of the way across. Okay, I'm going to pause while I do 2 more knit stitch rows. Okay, I've done the 2 rows of knit stitch, and this will be row 13 of the series. We're going to go ahead and knit 5 again. And then we do a treble, catching the post down below, which is right here. And then draw through 2 3 times. And then to finish the row, get the stitch behind the rest of the way across. And that's essentially how it's done. So now let's talk about spacing real quick. Take that off so I can use it as a pointer. Okay. With this first row, and you're going to find this first row of trebles is the hardest because you're having to go backwards into that next post. And you'll find it particularly hard by the time you get to the fourth one when you have all of these stitches on your needle. But that's the hardest row. The rest of them are very easy to do, despite what it looks like on this video. It's just hard for me to do it through a camera. Okay, so we start out over here with your first stitch is always just the bringing up from the previous row. So you do 3 knit stitches, then you do your treble. Be sure to skip number 4 and do it in the 5th one. Then you're going to knit stitch 4 between all of these series in this row. When you get done, it looks like as it's sitting on your needle, there'll be 3 in between the 2 trebles. That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, and down below here, if you count between the trebles, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in between here. And here you have 3 in between. But you're actually going to knit 4, do a treble, knit 4, do a treble, going back to that post, knit 4, all the way across till you get to the end. In the next row, it's the same thing. You start out with your 3 here, but then you do 4 in between each time for this vertical set. When you come to this one, you're going to start with 5 because you want to get over. You had your 3 here plus the one you skipped, so it's number 5. And you're going to go backwards into these posts. For this row and for this row, after you've done that initial 5, there are 8 knit stitches in between each one of that series. And then up here, same thing, knit 5, do a treble, knit 8, do a treble, knit 8. This is block 30, the Teardrops block. One of the harder ones because it is hard to do this V. It's kind of worth it though, it's kind of different. Thanks for watching.